Welcome back to the Creator Incorporated podcast. This week, very special guest, our biggest one yet in terms of followers. We got Garrett Thomas, aka Garrett from Goldies. He came into the studio. We sat down, chopped it up. He's amazing. He's like kind of a older mentor brother type situation. To me, it feels like because he's been in New York for 10 plus years. He's lived the life of being in your mid-20s in New York, and his content was all about that when he first got here and first got into the content game, and then all the way through now to where he's doing it as his full-time career. He's a content creator. Like I said, he's got a ton of followers. He's got over 250,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok. 250,000 people. 250,000. But it was a really fun conversation. We got into everything. We talked about what goes into some of his most viral videos, his Diners, and Diners series, which has taken TikTok by storm. And then we talked about philosophy, talked about Seneca, the Stoics. Ever heard of him? So we covered it all. He's the best. He's a really, really cool guy. And he cares a lot about people. He cares a lot about other creators. He cares a lot about giving back to the community and small businesses. And the shocking thing is he's genuine about it, at least as far as I know. So unless he's a great actor. But super fun conversation. Shout out to Garrett. I'll leave it from there. Enjoy the show. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, at The Creator Incorporated. Send this to a friend. But most of all, enjoy the next 45, 50 minutes or so, I think. But that's all I got. See ya. Garrett Thomas, welcome to the Creator Incorporated, also known as Garrett from Goldies. You got the stage name, the real life name. It's good to have you, man. Thanks for coming.
Dude, it was a pleasure. I think, when did we first sit down?
Last week,
and we're already on the pod.
Yeah, you were moving quick.
Yeah.
We're moving quick.
Yeah, making moves.
That's the new second date in the world is going to be you come on my podcast.
Yes, okay, great wheeling technique. I'll write that down for later.
Well, listen, let's set the stage a little bit. You have 118,000 followers on Instagram, 162,000 followers on TikTok, all along for the journey. You're a full-time content creator, but I'm always curious, how would you introduce yourself? Like you show up, you meet someone at a party or whatever. How do you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I would say content creator. I always, one of my little jokes I make to people when they say, oh, you're an influencer is, that's a bit of a derogatory term now. With, content, I think being in the content game, it's also such a fast moving dynamic space that it's hard to just say, I know what I'm going to be doing in 3 years from now, because it's like content creation. It's new, it's fresh. This role, people, I don't think it's one of those things where if you were 15 years old and you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? This isn't even in the realm of possibility.
Right.
So yeah, I would say I'm a content creator. I do a lot of community-based stuff. I do a lot of food-based stuff, lifestyle-based stuff in New York City. I think one of the things that I always try and do that's a little bit different, and we'll go into this big time, but is just providing value to people in all sorts of forms of, living a good life and helping out businesses.
It's lifestyle. It's all encompassing, and you've got the I don't want to say the right background, but you have a great background to tell that story because you've done it.
Yeah, so that's one of the things when you say tell that story in the background and what it means to be a content creator in New York City, especially as a guy. Like, you can't just move to New York City and say, I want to be a content creator.
Yes.
You have to come from this background of, like, generally speaking, work at a bank or maybe in tech. And you have to live that life and walk that walk for years. Like, it's hard for people to just say, oh, I'm going to move to New York. Whereas I would say, to contrast that with somewhere like Miami or LA, I think that's a little easier to be like, hey, I'm in the content game, I'm in the entertainment space. New York is a place of business and it's a place of talent, and it's not a place like hopes and dreams like in LA, I want to be a movie star.
Right, like
you have
La La Land, the movie.
Yeah, you have to be talented.
Right.
You want to cut it in this city, you have to be talented. So to make that transition from finance or tech into content, it's a tough, there's only a handful of people that can do that or that want to do that, especially at my age. When you're 30 years old, especially at the bank, like, you're already kind of set in your life. Like, you're getting into encroaching on that territory where you can't take a risk. You're getting the girl, you got to put a rock on her finger, you got to get the house, you got to do all that. So it's like when you look at the realm of people that could possibly make this move. It's actually not too many.
It's not that many. Yeah. And I want to get into that. So you mentioned, working at the bank, working at all that. Let's talk about your career pre-content creation, BC, if you will.
Yep.
How'd you end up in New York? Where are you from originally?
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
I'll give you the elevator pitch. So so I'm from Toronto, Ontario, and obviously I'm from a suburb of Toronto.
Right.
Went to University of Toronto for engineering. Okay. So I started very highly technical background, math, science kind of thing, computer programming. Yeah. And then worked in Toronto for a year and got moved down to New York. I was working for a software company that built bond trading software. Okay. So they're selling bonds.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with the city. Like the energy, the people, just everything about New York. It was one of these places where it was like I totally was aligned with who I am, who I want to be. I was loving who I was becoming. I met a girl at the time. And then after the software company that was making software for banks, I moved to the banks.
Oh, nice.
So for about 8 years after that, was bouncing around a couple of investment banks, all in kind of fixed income securities. And then I was a little bit stagnant in my career. And I have a huge theory on this in general, especially a lot of the markets right now, historical businesses are legacy businesses are not growing as fast as they used to. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting into one of the older spaces like finance, like there's not a lot of growth that's happening, and there's not a lot of people retiring. So what's happening is, for young guys, there's kind of this log jam at the stop where you're not getting the promotion that you were hoping to get. You're not getting the pay bump. The only way you're getting a raise is by jumping to another bank, and like all the time. And people do it all the time. And I was kind of seeing that path for me at about 27 and going, I don't know if I want that. And then another great exercise for anybody to do is to look at the people above you in that role. So if I'm 27, look at the guy who's 35 at the office or 42 or 50 and say, do I want to be like that person? Do I want to live that life? Mm-hmm. And like the answer was no for me. So I was looking to make a move and looking to do something different and get a little side hustle. And I started a seltzer company. It was at that time I had stopped drinking. Again, because it was like this thing where, life, I was lucky up until 25 where I had lucky boy syndrome. Everything was given to me. Like, obviously, you're a smart guy. Yep. You're an engineer. You're doing good. You're doing good work at the bank. You're a nice person. You're a kind person. But like, I couldn't rely on the bank having a good year to get a bonus.
Right, yeah.
And like stake my career on that. Right. And I couldn't rely on my boss to like me to get a promo, or like it just like felt like I wasn't in control of my destiny, and I wanted to change that. So I stopped drinking, kind of locked in, and started this seltzer company where I was like, okay, well, maybe we can still go out and party and not drink, and maybe there's an option for something like that's not a pop and not like just like a cool drink that you could have at parties or bars or whatever. Right. Anyway, so I started this company called Goldies. Mm-hmm. That is where Garrett from Goldies comes from.
Garrett from Goldies.
And now I'm not a marketing guy. I don't know anything about marketing. And I was like, well, you know what? It would be probably a good idea if you're going to be doing social media to promote the company. I spent all my money making drinks. I had no more money for marketing, and I had to figure it out on my own. And it was such a blessing in disguise. And I would say it to anybody, what you guys are doing here, you have to figure it out on your own because you become a killer at it. And now I'm like, I'm a great marketer. So for me,
I was going to say, any marketer would kill to be able to create the following that you have. It's so funny. It started from such interesting start and background. And so you start making the seltzers, and then you start growing the following. And then this is probably like right when I start seeing your content. I'd say like the last like year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, but Jack, you told me you saw my content for months before I got the follow, dude. I had to put in work for that.
That's right. We did talk about this because we were talking about like, getting someone, it's almost like that funnel, getting someone from awareness to following. And I was telling Garrett when we had coffee at the Bagel Pub that it took a while to get my follow, to earn it. I'm like, I don't know, like, this guy's cool. I keep seeing his stuff.
Dude, Jack's not a cheap date, man.
I'm not a cheap date. That's what I'm saying. I'm for some reason much less ready to like follow this 30-year-old guy versus like maybe a girl that lives in my city.
Let's talk about your commitment issues, brother. What do you think?
That's a good topic right there. That'll take a while.
That will be getting taken out. That is not going to make it. No, but this is so cool for me because, for those that maybe don't know, maybe you're tuning in just because you follow Garrett, you love his stuff. But Gino and I, who you just heard from, we just moved to New York in September. And right now is February. But leading up to that, I was seeing all of your content about living in New York, doing your own thing. And then eventually when you ended up going full-time content, I saw that transition as well. And I was like, shit, this is awesome. Like, this guy's living the life.
Doing it, man. Yeah.
I was like, the West Village looks sweet. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about, let's talk about the transition from going to being a full-time content creator.
Yeah, and that's part of it too, right? Like, you have to live that life in order to attract people. I think one of the mistakes people make, especially if they're starting out in content creation, is like, oh, I want to have a big following, or I want to, yeah, but you don't just get to say that. You have to provide value to people, and you have to live the life. Why does somebody listen to me? Well, because I've been slugging it out in New York City for 10 years. Like, it's not like I just moved here and like, here's the best restaurant to go in. I have my routine and I have my stuff. So yeah, I did make the transition. Sorry to get off topic there, but yeah, to make the transition. So I was doing the seltzer company, and I started growing a following and talking about not drinking, healthy living, that kind of thing. And then some companies started reaching out saying, hey, would you be interested in promoting our products? And can we pay you to make short form video for us?
Wow. And so they just literally just like DM'd you.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. So I will say to anybody, if you, and I try and mentor content creators, not even mentor, sorry, just give advice whenever I can. And it's like, I talk to people who want to, like girls who want to do fashion, for example. And I'll say, okay, well, what's your last post about? And they'll be like, oh, it's about my relationship, or it's like a joke post. And it's like, well, if you want to talk about fashion, then fucking talk about fashion on your thing, and the companies will find you. If you want to be a fitness guy, if I really want to get a fitness deal right now, I could spend the next 2 weeks talking about a fitness journey. I'd have 5.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about it. So like, oh, you want to do makeup? Yeah, well then do makeup. But then on top of that, like, the thing about TikTok that was nice is that, like if you're in a new city developing and there's all these undeveloped plots of land, and you kind of stake out your little plot. Yeah. Like if you're trying to crack into YouTube right now, I'm not trying to say that you can't do it, but YouTube's a developed city. It's a developed ecosystem. Keep in mind, I was doing this like 3 years ago not before anybody, it was more rare.
Right.
So if you're going to say, I want to do makeup, but you can't differentiate yourself, people have been doing makeup for 5 years now on TikTok. And if you can't differentiate yourself with talent, skill, or ability, and not just a little bit, like you have to be like 10x what the close people, then the market is saturated. Like you can't, just because you want to do it doesn't mean the market needs it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you gotta, it's supply and demand.
Yeah.
You know what finance guys mean.
Yeah. Here's 10 years on Wall Street, buy low, sell high.
Learn that. Learn a thing or two. No biggie. So you're really like, the big point is because you kind of had a certain voice and you had a very certain tone. Is that why the brand deals you suspect started coming in?
Yeah, and you're starting to get a following, and also when you go back to supply and demand, it's like, there's not a lot of guys in their late 20s, early 30s that are doing TikTok 100%. Proficiently. There's some talking head guys, and there's some like comedian guys, but the vloggy style dude, is not there as much. There's the fashion boys that are doing it, and there's the David Goggins, like personal development, and of course there's the gym guys. But the true lifestyle guy, it's true. I'm setting up cameras, multi-angle. Yeah. I'm storytelling. I'm charismatic. All of that stuff. Like, there's not too many, so there's not a lot of competition. So that's keep in mind. That's kind of why I don't want to say that I'm lucky, but there were some things that because I was lucky. There's a serious skill level involved with this, but there's an element of luck there and
Of course.
market need that wasn't met, and that's kind of how I got sucked into it.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So then, the brand deals you start seeing come in, and then was there like a moment or a big milestone or a big kind of point in the content creation where you're like, wait, I could maybe do this full time?
Yeah, I remember the deal. It was Peloton. It was the first big one.
Because you have the Peloton in your apartment.
I used to, and then I'm a Peloton fan, and I remember that was the first deal where I was like, oh, this is serious coin. And they had brought me back like 3 months in a row. I was like their top selling guy on TikTok, and like it was just we live at the intersection of like art, short form video, and commerce. Like you have to be able to sell stuff if you want to make it in this business. And it was just clear like, hey, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like the numbers wise, you can do this.
So did you have anyone managing that stuff? Or
No, I didn't. So I was doing all the negotiation at the time, and that was the time when, so I had started making more money from brand deals than selling the seltzer. So
right.
I was like, well, this takes me 10 minutes. Cause once you get good at short form video, it like you're, now I'm like at the very frontier of making videos. And like, okay, why am I lugging canned water all around the city when I can be doing video? And this is something I enjoy, and it's easy. It's like one of those things when you're like, what are you good at? What is easy to you? What does the market need? And you're like there.
Yeah.
And it's
what
just
a feeling. You're in the slot.
You're in the slot. Yeah, no, I've been in the slot for a while now. So it's and that's kind of where I started thinking like, hey, there's a path here. Like if you could do this like twice a month, you could probably Now that my opinion on that has changed just a little bit as you get a little bit of an even bigger following. Selling other people's stuff becomes secondary to selling your own stuff. Like it can be very lucrative to make your own stuff. So that I'm kind of in that transition right now, because then you don't have to rely on anybody. Then you're like, dude, you're in it. Yeah, you got to sort it.
Now you get the following, and you're doing it the right way, where it's like organic following built up, and then because I saw the hat. Is that it?
This is it.
This is the first merch.
Oh, let's see it. So now this is actually funny enough. This is the old Goldies logo.
Yeah,
this was from the original dad hat. And so I've been, one of the series that I do is called Diners, Diners, and Diners. And
we know.
Where we go and eat at diners. So this hat has all these little breakfast foods all embroidered around, so you got a little egg here, some pancakes.
Is this on sale? Is this on?
So this is on TikTok Shop. It's not, I haven't opened it yet, but I've basically got it all set up right now such that like, we're going to do the pre-sale next week. I got 2 sweaters coming out, and I got another hat coming out. So,
let's go. Hey,
I'll make sure you guys have one for sure.
Yeah, it's getting put right here. I'm gonna wear it all the time.
Put it on hanging in the back. But so that's the plan. So now you're kind of even doing your own thing. Now it's like, a
little bit more passive type income, a little bit, because once the product is made.
Yeah, but on top of that, I think if you're really smart with content, you make content about making the hat.
Yeah.
And you make content about selling the hat, and people are like, and they buy into it. And like this whole time of strategy, if you want to talk strategy, it's like, well, drop a couple Instagram stories of it. So I weirdly got into embroidery. So like I did all the embroidery myself on these and all the digitizing myself. So and that's like, and it goes back to the story you tell. Why did I start Goldies while I stopped drinking? Why do I do the hat? Well, because I do embroidery. So like, it's not just like you're plucking out of thin air. One of my mentors that always talks about like filling your source is this guy, Sam Adequay. You should read his book, Origins of Inspiration. Would highly recommend it. Your responsibility as a person, as a human, is to go through life and fill your source up with inspiration. So, stopping drinking or reading books about economics or starting to post videos online or learning embroidery, these are all source items that you draw inspiration from. And then when you want to sell a hat, like this becomes easy. If you were to just be like, hey, I want to do a stupid sweater with just a silk print, like, but you don't, it's not providing enough value to your customer. Like,
It's
this is
the
a unique,
differentiation.
it's like a unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make it in a factory. This isn't something I can't just go buy a blank and do it. So this is even, I'm doing some embroidery on the brim here.
Okay.
It's like, you can't do it unless you
do it.
Unless you have a factory that does it from scratch. So yeah, it's
crazy. What a journey. That is sick to hear.
And now we're all caught up.
And now that brings us to right now.
Right today.
Welcome to the show. So I want to talk about, because diners it's taking the world by storm. That's been a big one. The series, people are into it. The Triple D, the Pancake Index. Oh, I love all of it.
Yeah.
Let's talk the bits. And we talked about this at the Bagel Pub. Bits
very important.
Very important. And I am a bits guy myself. I don't mean that to be derogatory either. I love bits. But let's talk about that. The genesis, the creation, your first diners, and diner.
Yes. So that it was an accident. So I didn't now I say it was an accident. It's not an accident in the sense that I was looking for something I could do with a little bit more repeatability. I think one of the things when you look at content, you have to provide value to people on the other side of the screen. So whether you're giving entertainment, education, edutainment, kind of the intersection of those two, life advice, whatever. You can do grief stuff, sad stuff, whatever. But you have to provide value to the person on the other side of the screen. So that's the first thing. Second thing is what works really, really well for people is doing some series-based stuff. So whether that's just a little 5-part series or for something like diners, it's never ending, but you're just going to a diner and documenting what the deal is there.
Yeah.
So how I came up with the idea is I had gotten home from a trip. So I had these ideas floating around in my head of I got to provide value to people. I got to do something more repeatable, and I want to do a series
framework.
So you have that, and you have these lenses that you're looking through life of all sorts of things, and I had been looking for something to do in that realm, and I had just gotten back from a trip. So you know how when you get home from a trip, you leave your luggage out and you don't stock your fridge up. So I had been eating out for 2 or 3 days. At the time, I had gone to a couple diners that I love eating at diners. And
again, this is something where it's something that you actually do.
You're living, yes.
This is your real life. You actually like diners.
You are filling your source up. Yeah, people ask me all the time, how do you go to a diner every day? Don't you ever get sick of it?
Because I love diners.
Oh, man, I really like eating breakfast, dude. So you fill your source up, and now I was like, okay, this is kind of getting a little pricey, dude. This is $15 for breakfast.
Right.
I'm not used to doing that. I normally go up to my egg guy. They're $5.
Yeah.
And
that's another one too. The egg guy.
And I was in the.
What's up?
What's the egg guy? Can you talk to me about that?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you right after.
We'll go egg guy. We'll go diner, then egg guy.
Egg guy's iconic. Yeah, that's an iconic move.
Iconic.
So, I was like, I wonder if I could just subsidize this by. Dude, I'm in the creator fund. If I make a video 1 minute long about this diner, I'll have my breakfast paid for. That would be sick, wouldn't it? And one of the funny things about in the content world is when something hits, it right away.
Oh yeah.
Right away. There's the market tells you what it wants.
Right.
And I knew right away. Yeah. It was boom. Wow, this is crazy. I'll do this. I could do this. There's so many diners. And wouldn't it be funny to just go around diners, documenting, meeting the people, helping these small businesses.
Right.
And cause I'm all about that anyways. Again, it's just this is who you are. So it just comes out of you. And that's what happened. And it was
it's taken off.
It changed the trajectory of my content career significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Even on Instagram, I wasn't ever posting on Instagram until 2 months ago, and went from maybe 3,000 or 4,000 followers to 120,000.
I got the freaking number for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe more than 100,000 followers.
118,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, in 2 months.
That's how you know. That's a big sign, because if you're able to get people to go from TikTok to Instagram, have them fly across the digital app store.
But they don't do that.
Right.
They don't do that. That is only the people. This mistake that people think if I post on YouTube, my audience is going to go. No. The audience is in their little walled garden.
Yeah.
If you're consuming content on Instagram, you're on Instagram. If you're on TikTok, you're on TikTok. If you're on YouTube, you're on your YouTube. So I'm not really those are those are Instagram followers that are really fucking with you, and that's the deal.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It is good stuff. Let's talk about Egg Guy, because that was a fantastic series. And then we got a bit of ourselves we're going to run you through after Egg Guy.
Okay.
Let's hear about Egg Guy.
Yeah, tell me about it because I love eggs. They're expensive. What do you got?
Okay, so this was kind of like a little mini series, and it goes back to like an entertainment bit where I had been buying eggs from this Amish guy at the Union Square Market for 7 years. Okay,
7
years. I didn't even know this guy's name. It was just you got those guys in your life where you just like give them a nod. Like, I know you, I've seen you around. I'd go to war for you, but I don't know who you are. So he's been selling me eggs for 7 years for $5, and like only 2 times in my life have I ever been happy to pay more for services in my life. My egg guy raised his prices to $6, and my barber went from like 25 to 28 one year. I was like, dude, you're undercharging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still too low.
This guy is an Amish dude. He's from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
He drives 150 miles one way to sell eggs for $5 at a Union Square Green Market 3 times a year, or 3 times a week. Okay. By the way, he's Mennonite, so it's like it's like an offshoot of Amish, where so he can't even drive a car. He hires somebody to drive him in. Okay, to sell eggs for $5 out of a van. Okay,
this is the best.
But I'm a content creator, and I like go to the Union Square Green Market and like document. I have like, I don't want to say hours of footage interacting with this man, but probably 10 minutes over the years of me buying eggs and like me filming us together. Okay, so New York City started passing a law and enforcing a law such that the eggs, when you're selling eggs, you need to have them refrigerated. But this guy's eggs are like farm fresh. They come from the chicken. They come to like 1 day later. And when eggs, for those of you unfamiliar, they have a bloom, an antibacterial film on them.
Mm-hmm.
If our eggs, mass-produced eggs, are washed with like soaps and stuff, so that it gets rid of that bloom, so you have to refrigerate them. My guy wasn't doing that. Okay, so obviously conspiracy theory says that Big Egg wants this guy out of the game. But
exactly, because he's undercutting the market by about 9,000,000%.
Yeah. So he gets into a little tiff with the Union Square Green Market people because they wanted him to refrigerate his eggs. They wanted him to put them in coolers, buy a refrigerated truck. Like I said, he sells eggs for $5. You cannot buy this. You're all right. The capital investment necessary for this is not possible. So
he's already in the negative from having to get there.
And let me tell you something. Another thing about Amish people, these are like the most hardworking, kind people you'll ever meet. Like this guy. And so I'm Canadian, so I would always be around like on Thanksgiving, snowstorms, like there would be no tents, and there'd be this yellow Millport Dairy tent on Thanksgiving Day, the day before Christmas. Like he doesn't miss a day.
Yeah.
So one day I show up to the market and he's not there. And I'm telling you right now, alarm bells.
You're like, oh, well, I don't want to think worst case scenario, but you're like, did he not make it?
Yeah, this is not. It's uncharacteristic.
Right.
It would be an understatement. Where is my egg guy? Okay,
you're
right?
throwing things at the wall.
This guy hasn't missed a day for 7 years, and he doesn't show up unannounced. Where's my egg guy?
Yeah.
So I talk to the Green Market, and they tell me, hey, there's been a bit of an issue. Like he's gonna go, he can't show up because we have this thing. So I start doing this thing on TikTok. I'm like, where's my egg guy? Yeah, I'm going to find you.
Yeah.
Wherever you are in the world, I'm going to find you.
Yeah.
So he does. I'm like tracking him down around the city. And it turns out he's opening his own shop, a standalone shop on the Upper West Side. So this allowed him to have like an old refrigerator. It was in a laundromat. It was actually so funny. So this allowed him to have like some refrigeration so he could sell his eggs out without having to buy the trucks and stuff. So
but he's out of the market now. He's out of the
Union Square Green Market,
and he's forced up into the Upper West Side. He's been freaking exiled.
But more importantly, not given an opportunity to tell his customers, which what really bothered me is like I said, this guy's Amish. As you can imagine, he doesn't have a very good web plan. This guy doesn't have a very good social media strategy. No. He uses a flip phone.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is not. And keep in mind, I had 10 minutes of footage of me interacting with my
Exactly.
boys, my dudes.
Yeah.
So I organized a bunch of people to start going up to the egg guy every weekend and documenting it. And it just went mental on TikTok of like the true power of social media of like helping small businesses and like getting the word out. And now he's doing great.
That's amazing. Is he still on the Upper West Side?
Yeah, he's still on the Upper West
How many
Side.
people, what was your biggest crew that went up?
Probably like 30.
That's crazy.
Yeah, going to buy eggs. And the funniest part about all of it is the green market, the original place that he was selling out of, has very strict rules in terms of like what you can and can't sell, because it's like, well, we can't have everybody selling eggs and everybody selling cucumbers. So this guy had a ton of extra produce that he could sell, and he makes like incredible banana breads, and he makes awesome tomatoes that you would just never have been able to buy from him to begin with. So yeah, he's the best. And one of the only downsides of the diner thing is that I used to buy eggs from him every week, and now like I don't see him as much because I'm like going out to diners. So it's just like, hey, but that's like the one bummer thing.
Yeah, but you've probably created so much more opportunity for revenue by exposing him and all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, unquestionably.
So
unquestionably.
You can. I give you the right to sleep well at night knowing that.
I do, but I miss my eggs. They're still the best eggs in the city. And if I ever end up, and you could take me, me on this. Yeah. If I ever open a diner, I will be serving Millport dairy eggs.
Stamp.
And that's fills your source.
That's source filling. Now I want to get into a segment bit. I got a cup of coffee from our office coffee machine.
Okay.
And I want to see if we can do a coffee rating live. I got some sugars. I got creams.
Okay.
And we're going to do a live Diners coffee review. Do you have criteria? Do you have, you're putting the sugar in, I see.
I do a little bit of sugar, just a little bit.
Okay, so this is fascinating. This is the first ever live. I'll take a sip with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's office coffee.
It's definitely office coffee.
Yeah, it's low tier 3 coffee. It's this is office coffee. It's a little watery, and you can feel that the bold flavor's trying to get there, but it's not. It's coming up short.
It's being held back by the cost-cutting measures.
Yeah.
Watery.
Because what ends up happening is you get some MBA guy coming in there and say, if we can just give 5% less coffee and we sell 10 billion cups,
right,
we can save a lot of money. And then the next year, some other punk comes in and goes, guys, if we just take 5% more out of there, we can save even more. And you do that for a couple of years, and you end up having cardboard in your drinking sawdust.
And then everyone in the community is using paper cups and plastic utensils.
Exactly.
And that's it.
But I very much appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah, that was a live coffee review. There you go. Everyone, round of applause. Yep. Everyone's clapping at home. They're all appreciative. Gino's he's gearing up to say something right now. I see that crouch.
I like the 7-Eleven coffee, the Brazilian Bold. That's been my favorite for the past couple of years now. Have you tried that?
I haven't, but I had a friend of mine that used to get that one because 7-Eleven, you could get it for like $1 if you had the 7-Eleven app. I don't know if you have that or if he was like, it was by far one of my little bits, and why we had met at the Bagel Pub is because part of my routine every day is to go for a walk and sit down and read my book. That is, by the way, people ask all the time, what is the coolest part about doing content full time? Is that I can read whenever I want, and if I'm tired, I take a nap. That is, I'm not kidding. It's like I can go to the water and read. I can go to I go for the morning and read. Oh, I've got this. I just go for a walk to come here. Like it's not. You're getting out of that. Like, oh, I have to be at the office every time between here and here. But one of the bits, because this is part of my routine, I love like challenging myself to save money. I like world's #1 spending money guy, by the way, but it's cool. And I think you've seen some of my bits lately with the wheel of like, hey, how can you eat dinner for $10?
Right.
How can you eat dinner for 15? And like just kind of challenging yourself to be a little bit more frugal. I think one, it's business wise, it's very relatable of like, how can you save money, a little bit of money one day? And so the Bagel Pub, in my opinion, I'm a huge value guy. I'm all about value. All about the value. $2.81 for a small coffee, and it's good coffee.
It is.
I'm down with that. I'm rocking with that.
That's Bagel Pub. Bagel Pub 281. I was gonna say, because I was gonna bring it up, but I was gonna give you the heads up. You can gatekeep this if you want, but you just.
Oh, I'll get. No, I mean, I'll get.
Hey.
I'm gonna be bouncing around. I actually want to do a little series on where to read in the morning in New York City.
Oh, that would be a good one because
I got a couple. I'm maybe subject matter expert, world's #1 New York City morning reading guy.
That's it. Stamp. Because I could use that because the East Village is not necessarily the most calm, quiet.
I'll give you. Here's this one. This one's free. Next one will cost you a brasso.
Oh, nice.
ABRAC with the little 5 underneath. Oh,
yes,
it's a Portuguese thing. That happening spot in the morning for reading.
What about, have you been to the book club? Is that what it's called?
Of course I've been to the book club. What are we talking about?
I went, it was packed.
Yeah, so that's the only problem with the book club is like it's too busy.
Yeah, everyone knows about it now.
Everyone knows these damn TikTokers coming and blow it up.
Damn TikTokers always doing that. I can't believe it. How dare they?
No, it's serious. It actually is kind of funny. I make that joke all the time, but it's like I'm like a hurricane, just leaving destruction of people in my wake. Like all the regulars that come and go, let me tell you about the book pub.
Yeah.
Now like a brass out is going to be slammed. But that's part of, I think that with that being said, I understand that reluctance for like regulars to be like, oh damn, like he's kind of blowing up my spot. But when you reward businesses that the market wants, they'll more will pop up. And then it will alleviate more pressure on that. So like everybody wants a great spot to read that like, and that, we could go get all meta here and talk about third places in New York City, but like the book club is a great third place.
Yeah. That
like you can go and post up and read at and have a little bit of community. There's like a lady that sits there and knits in the corner all the time. Like that's cool to me. Like,
yeah. I love coffee shops.
We need more of that. And like, I was kind of tooting around the Lower East Side yesterday and it was raining and I was like, damn, I had just eaten. Did you see that thing? I'm doing like a little cafes thing now.
No.
I started documenting some cafes around the city.
Oh, also you need a name for your followers.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to call them dinors and dineritas, like seniors and senior. But I'm not sure if that's right.
Because I was thinking about that because I recently actually rallied the comment section when you said, when you went to a cafe and you said the diner purists are going to be pissed. I said stand down.
Stand down. The diner purists.
I'm trying to help you out in the comment section. I always offer this up to everyone that comes on the show. If you need me to go to war in the comment section, I'm 100% there every time.
So so there's a couple bits, like I got the diner purists and the haters. The haters is one of my favorite ones because they're like the haters. Like, I don't know, like I'm like a guy who goes to the library and like, I don't know, like goes eat to the diner.
Do you get
like,
a lot of hater comments?
No, I get no hater comments. Every once in a while I'll get, but I'm really good with the block button.
Nice.
And I think that like I have friends like in the comedian space that, and every content creator has their own opinion on this, but I like to block because there's a couple reasons. One, this is my career. And if you're going to come into the comment section, like I don't come into your like fucking place of business and be like, "Whoa, this fucking guy." Yeah. It's like,
I can't type for shit.
Yeah. Like I don't do that to you.
And you're ugly.
Yeah. Like I don't do that to you. And I understand it's a little bit different. I'm a public profile and I get all that. But like, yeah, like, dude, like this is my career, and if you're gonna be like nitpicking, well, you said this was a 20-minute drive, it was a 22-minute drive, you fucking prick. Like, dude, relax. Right. I like, okay, like
they're kind of ruining it for the rest of us,
and you're ruining it for the rest of us, and it's bad energy. And I'm like, I'm pretty quick with it. And then the other thing is the types of people that are like kind of that negative energy in the comments. So how the algorithm works is like if they comment on something like that, then your video gets shown to other people with negative energy.
Right.
So you can get into this kind of negative feedback loop of like
the doom spiral.
The doom spiral of like it's getting shown to, like I've only been in that like maybe 2 or 3 times and not even like it. I don't get affected by the comments, but it's just like it's more, my attention. I'm already like stretched so thin, and like if you're gonna comment negative shit on my videos, and you're asking for a nanosecond of my attention, and that negative comment is not worth 1 nanosecond of my attention, so it's just, hey, see you later. Go bother somebody else. This isn't for you.
Yeah, get him out. Get him out.
Yeah,
Kick him
not
out
for
the
you.
party. Kick
Yeah,
him out
yeah.
of the party. That's
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
how it is.
you're
Kick
at the
him out of
club.
party.
You're at the club. You got to go look through the window on the outside, or make a Finsta or whatever you got to do.
What's the Chris Brown? You just trying to get in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Would you know? Do you mind pulling that?
That's
Chris Brown.
why are you hating from our side of the club?
So-
You can't even get in.
So speaking of that transition, Gino and I are two young 26, 27-year-olds in New York City.
Best.
Take us back. What do you have? Give us some advice, because we're trying to figure this stuff out. We've been here for 5 months. Whether it's, dating, getting into a routine. How do you suggest? 'Cause-
Yeah, so I was thinking about this so I have been doing a lot of book content, and this is one of the funny things about the content that I do. I don't know if you guys pick up on it yet. On the surface, it's a show about diners, like you're going to eat. But I talk about books. I talk about politics. I talk about career. Like I talk about dating. Like it's just a medium and a vessel through which to talk. So I just finished this book from Seneca called Letters from a Stoic, which I think you two young guys should read, because it's 2,000-year-old advice. And the funny thing about being a human being is it's just as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. And it'll be just as relevant 2,000 years from now as it was today, because we're all humans. We have emotions. And one of the things that Seneca did that was transformative was he changed the format. You can maybe argue that he was kind of the father of the essay, and he did it by wit, through which it was a series of letters he wrote. And people suspect that it was a fictitious character that he was writing to, but he had a young tutor named Lucilius that he would write these letters to, and it was a collection of like 150 letters on all sorts of topics on how to live your life. And the transformative, it's just very encapsulated. Like this is a letter on loyalty, and this is a loyal on
Very
habit,
cool.
and this is a loyal on materialism, and these are all things that are relevant, just as relevant now. And I thought one of the cool things to do might be to kind of pull those letter style format, essay style format into short form video.
I was just gonna say it's the OG short form content.
OG short form video. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you read some of what historians say about Seneca and what other orators and essay writers say about Seneca at the time, was that he's ruining the experience. Like he's taking shortcuts, and he's relying on little tidbits and colloquialism, hooks, and like, you're like, wait a second, that's just like the modern day TikTok. Like you get up there and say a little sound bite. So I think one of the cool things would be to take that kind of format, like the letter style format. I was trying to think about how you could do that into short form video, and there's a way. There's definitely a way.
Giving like advice to maybe younger people, or just in general, just humans, just how.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about being, I think I've always been a little bit hesitant to, if you are trying to be a life advice guy, like you have to provide solutions to people's problems, and you have to have answers to people's questions. And I think one of the things like bright people have a problem with is like, I know that I don't know things. Like I'm aware that there's blind spots. Like this is how I live my life, and I think like it's the right way, and it's been very successful for me, and I have a great family and great friends and help young people out. Like this is the objectively the right way. But I don't think I have had a little bit of reluctance to say, well, this is how you should live your life, because you got to figure that out for yourself, I think. And I don't really want to be the like David Goggins life advice guy. Like I think a lot of people see what I do, and like when you see it in Chicago, like you can tell he's like doing this is
real life.
Yeah, this is an admirable way to live. I like the values that he has. It's I would look up to it, and this is something I would want to emulate and try and tease that into my life. But I don't think I want to get on to TikTok and be like, well, this is what I think about loyalty. Well, let me but like
It's tough.
You have to if you want to be if you want to be the guy and the mentor and ascend into that that space. You have to have solutions and you have to have answers. And I do, but I don't find I find selfishly I have those answers and solutions for me,
right?
Not for you. I don't read Seneca for you. I read Seneca for me. I don't read Piketty for you. I read Piketty for me. So that's because I'm a curious guy.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and that's what I love is because you talk about your own experiences. You use your own experiences to have the basis and the logic behind why you do what you do.
Exactly.
And that's the best thing that you can do, because otherwise then you become sorry to keep shitting on Goggins, but if you're demanding that someone does something a certain way all the time, no matter what, that's just that's going to be mostly worthless unless you're someone that's very impressionable. That's
yeah. And I think that I have always been a huge proponent of show me, don't tell me. So here's how I live. I like to have a routine. Like I told you this morning, I've been kind of getting off my routine when we were walking to the studio here. I've been kind of getting off my routine, and I used to be I'll give you a little anecdote, especially when it comes to working out in the mornings. I'm a big biker. I like to bike. And if I couldn't I used to, when I was younger, your age, if I couldn't give a workout 100%, I'd be very frustrated with myself. And sometimes I'd even be like, why are you even bothering? If you can't give 100%, don't even bother going. But as I got older, one of the mindset shifts I've made is well, if you only have 50% to give and you give 50% that day, well, that's your 100.
That's 100.
And you're on the bike and you get your legs moving and you're I don't know. I'd feel a little bit cringe if I were to be on the bike and be like, let me tell you guys, I only had 50% to give today. And it's just not me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I just get your ass on the bike.
Yeah. If that's what you want to do.
And do it over and over again and do it every day. And when you have 100, give 100. When you have 50, give 50. And have the discipline to do it every day. And that is... that's got to be the mentality.
Yeah, you're the self-awareness also, and knowing yourself and being able to say I don't know, it feels kind of that's not really me to try to tell someone to be on the bike for 50%.
Yeah.
That's huge, and that I think shines through in the content.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's not. You have to be true to yourself in anything in life. You guys are super passionate about learning about the creator side of this business. That shows through. So of course we could sit here and talk all day about it, but you got to do, I think, what feels right for you. And I think that's where it kind of gets a little bit tricky, because we talked about it earlier with the market of I make videos, and I know I say oh, I make videos for me. And I don't make them for you. But when you're making art, and I consider short form video a form of art, a form of communication, I live at the intersection of art and commerce. Yep. You need people to watch your videos. I can't just go up. I can't you have to be respectful to people's attention span, and you have to give them value. But so you can't just be dicking around with it, but at the same time you have to do content that inspires you, that you want to do.
I love that. I love that intersection. Garrett, thanks so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. It was great having you. Any final words? How can people reach you?
Yeah, you can follow me on socials. Garrettfromgoldies is on Instagram and TikTok. I do a little bit of YouTube. If you want to see me interview my mentor, I do have a YouTube channel where I interview Sam. Yeah, and you can always, shoot me a DM, whatever. I mean, always, I'm always down to...
Yes, sir. Yeah, you are. Yeah. Hanging out with me, hanging out with Gino.
No negative comments, because I will blast you.
And if you do, I'll be right there behind. I'm going to get into your DMs. We're going to find out where you live.
You came to the wrong part of town.
All right, thanks, Garrett.
Brother, appreciate it. Okay.